Welcome to the quarterfinals round of the 4th Asia World Schools Debating Championship. Contesting this round are Team Anglo 1 on proposition and Team BD2 on opposition. The motion on the floor is, this House would institute a lower income tax for women. Without any further ado, I would like to call the first proposition speaker to open the debate.
Panel. We live in a world where history is built upon the fact that women are being oppressed. For centuries, we think women have been systematically discriminated, taking away from their ability to be able to access education, the right to vote, which is an intrinsic value in the idea of democracy. Our side stands for the fact that we want to support women, and we think the only way we can do this is through lower income tax. Before I move on to our case, one definition to make. So what exactly do we mean by an income tax? Right? An income tax is basically a tax on your earning, usually in a status quo in a form of progressive taxation. This money goes back to the state. So what exactly is our policy in today's debate? Our policy here is that we would lower these income tax for women. How so? Right? We think that to get a picture in the status quo right now, progressive taxation depends on your earning, things like 10%, 20%, 30%, and so on. We think that this still applies. But the difference here is that we will have lower percentages for women under our side of the paradigm. Now to make it clearer, we are not going to marry ourselves to a specific policy and a specific number, but we think that the burden that we have to prove in today's debate on why exactly women deserve this lower income tax. And just preemption, because we know that they're going to come up and talk about how we're going to have backlash under our side. We understand that there may be potential backlash coming from our policy, but we think that it's a trade-off that we are willing to make. And we think this is the only short-term harm that will occur under our side. Why? Right? Because we give you examples in the past when black people were allowed to go to school. Right? There was backlash from society, from white people. And we think that eventually things got better, and we think this is why our world will also work out as well. Two substantive I will present to you in today's debate. And the first substantive on why is it only appropriate that we give lower income tax as a form of reparation, and second substantive is on the idea of our policy is going to be effective. So thanks. So on the first argument, we think that this argument is independent of practical considerations. So we think that with this argument, it doesn't matter whether or not women are going to be able to utilize our policy effectively. First level, let's look at the injustices that have been committed onto women in the past. We'll do this in two forms, right? Do direct harm and indirect harm. Let's look at the direct harm first. Then the direct harm comes through things like structural and systematic oppression. Things like in the past how women would not be able to access right to education and right to vote. I'll explain why these are harmful. Let's get to right to education first. Right? We think that right to education, when you are not allowed to have access to education, what this means for women in the past is that they're not able to get jobs, right? Because that means they don't have skills that suit them in the labor market. But then this is hard information because what this means is that these women are stripped away from their right to be able to earn their own wages in the past. I would think this is why, in principle, they deserve lower taxes. But furthermore, let's look at the idea of right to vote. And why even if, when they come up and say that, oh, but women already earn, to a certain extent, in status quo. The reason that isn't always true, and the reason we think they still require lower taxes, is because we think that in the past, if you're not allowed the right to vote, we think that the importance of that is that they have no say in parliament, they have no say in social and economic policies that the government oftentimes cater to the men. We think that this is exactly the reason why women need this lower income tax, so that they get back the money that they have lost, because they've never had a say in the policies for centuries inside the status quo. Why is this directly the state's obligation? Right? Because we think in the past, we think that in the past the state allowed this policy to be implemented. Right? They are the one who said that these women shouldn't go to school, these women shouldn't have the right to vote in parliament. So because it is your fault that these women are stuck in this kind of condition, we think it is directly proportionate that these states pay back citizens to tax. But what is the harm of it? I'm going to prove to you the principle and as to why this construes as theft, right? First idea, the idea of historical theft. We think that in the past, whether or not we had a tax system, we think that women benefited society and benefited the state in some way through their contributions, through the work or whatever that they have done in the past, right? So because of this, we think that if the state doesn't give them equal rights, things like to vote and to be represented as equal citizens among all in society, we think that the principle of reciprocity is lacking under their side. Because if women in the past have benefited our society somehow through all the contributions, it's only right that they deserve their money back and they deserve this right to go and fight your education as well. But secondly, status quo. Right? We think that in the status quo, taxes are used for things like welfare and policies should cater to everyone. But since policies right now don't cater to everyone, we think that we argue this is theft and we don't support such things. Second level, on the idea of the indirect harm, things like social norms and stereotypes. Because the reason, let's look at the idea of women's role in society. The social perception thinks women should always be housewives, who cook and clean and cook. Right? We think that even if they do work, the reason this is still harmful is because oftentimes you're subjected to jobs that are seen as secondary to it. Things like how you should be nurses instead of doctors. Things like how you're a kindergarten teacher because you're somehow better with children than a professor. Because of this, right, it shows that these women are subjected to jobs that are earning lesser than men, and this is why they deserve low income tax. So the benefit under our side, why do we benefit these people through income tax? We think that the inability of these people to get promoted because of social norms, and people believe that men is better at these types of jobs, and because of that, the inability of you to get promoted, we think that is harmful because that takes away from the ways that you could have earned. We think they deserve this reparation and compensation through lower tax. But thirdly, we think that the reason this still affects, we think that the reason this still affects women in the status quo until now is because we think stereotypes are still relevant. Because in the past, if you were not given these certain types of rights, they were never seen as equal, right? Because in the past, a father would pass down his skills to the son and not the daughter, right? Because we think this stereotype links directly to money and monetary harms, and therefore we think, therefore we think we're justified in doing this. But second argument, on why establishing our policy is effective in changing this. We think that the government only provides reparation where there is direct and harm to an individual. And we think this actually is justified under our side because we have shown you in my previous argument as to why this is a direct harm. And the reason other alternatives don't address this issue is because we think that the harms come from the fact that there are monetary harms. We think you should also provide with monetary benefits, right? But we think it's status quo where you're sending a message. And the problem with the mindset of people right now in the status quo is that women think that, because they're inferior than men, I deserve less, and they're worth lesser than men. That is why they don't want to push for change in the status quo. That's why they're scared to ask for more wage, because you don't know how much men earn. When your boss tells you, you should get this much, then you just accept it. But then we fix it because we now break this mindset of women when we show to society that there is this problem in the status quo that women are earning lesser than men. But because if we don't put a spotlight on this issue, what happens is people will never know because they think it's an isolated incident. But with a blanket policy, what we show to that is that we show that this problem applies to all women across the world, and we show these people that this is a collective issue that we should change. We break this mindset of society because now they see that women can actually earn more than men, and that they benefit from this. Because the reason people think women are incapable is that they see that they earn lesser. So now if they earn more, we think that we shine a light on this issue that women are also capable and just as good as men. So because of these reasons, we think that in principle they deserve more income tax, and we think we better help women.
I thank the first opposition speaker, and I would like to recognize the third opposition speaker to open the opposition.
pay away misogyny. And behind this stance, Team Bangladesh is very committed to oppose this notion. What do we want in this debate? In this debate, we want long-term empowerment of women, such as removing discrimination. What are our burdens? First, lowering tax worsens the life of women, socially and economically. What do they have to do? Why is this the only way to improve inequality? Second, how it helps the most vulnerable in the society. What am I going to talk about in my speech? First, I'm going to tell you the principle of income tax is redistribution. Second, I will tell you how this hamstrings the progress for women. And my second speaker will come up and talk about the long-term changes that exist under our model. But before I move on, let's have a look at what they have to say. The entire case of side proposition and their context can be summed up in one word: in the past. The problem is you don't recognize the progress that feminism and the women's movement has made since 5,000 years back, till 5,500 years back, and now. When you don't recognize this particular change, you do not only and try to improve things, you end up making things worse because you don't take the present context into account. For example, the biggest example that they had was, oh, but no thank you, black people can go to school now. But that isn't the issue of this debate. Women can go to work as well. The problem is beyond that. It's about the inequality that exists and how do we solve that, how to solve it on their own. Second, they talk about the idea as to how oppression existed before, and that is why this action is necessary. We tell you the reason affirmative actions are taken is with the hope that things will change better in the future. That is why we need to do this at present to stabilize the situation, to make up for past. This particular model of lowering tax for women isn't something that exists only at present. This is something under their model would go on forever. That means, and under their model, women are never expected to increase the number of zeros in their paycheck. Women are never expected to get better salary than their counterparts. Rather, no matter what they still get a lower paycheck. That is why their idea of affirmative action in this debate never works, because the problem is never solved and you forever show pity towards women, which we firmly oppose. Third, they have a problem with social perceptions. Their problem with social perception is things like women are not respected at home because they earn less at this point in time. Imagine then the global scale effect of it. Imagine the global scale effect where every single individual of her country thinks that her contribution towards the state is less overall. Imagine the social backlash the entire society of women will face then, which we are currently making better because we don't hinder the progress. Where women can claim we give the same amount of income tax, then why are we paying less? But finally, their entire case had one flaw that they didn't talk about. The flaw that they have in this debate, the fundamental one is not discussing what happens when 50% of your population reduces the payment of taxation. What happens to the most vulnerable in the society, the poorest of the women, and the benefits that could have trickled down to them. In my speech, I will include that as well, but we think their second speaker must come up and clarify these things. Let's talk about the first thing, the principle of income distribution. Mr. Speaker, income tax is a tax for redistribution. It's not a tax on effort. Why is this important? Because understand this, currently having a paycheck just as same as another man on the same paycheck needs to give the same amount of redistribution back to the society because she has the same amount of privilege and same amount of ability given by the government just as another man with the same paycheck at this point in time. Why is this important? Because currently, understand the analogy, Bill Gates is someone who is a self-made billionaire. Compare that to Trump Jr., who is not a self-made billionaire. We tax both of them equally. Why? Because taxation isn't something that is done on effort. It is done on the wealth that you have, an amount of wealth that needs to go back to the poorest of the individuals in your society. So at the end of the day, that's because individuals have more effort doesn't essentially mean the principle of redistribution of taxation goes away at this point in time. But even beyond our principle, which they have done in their debate, what else do we show you? We show you the impacts of this tax essentially. First, what you essentially do is, individuals who are very wealthy women in your society who could have given millions of dollars, which could have gone to healthcare, affordable healthcare for women, is something that you deprive this poorest woman from. Second, what you essentially do is the poorest of the women in your society who could have gotten unemployment benefit, microcredit from government programs, are essentially deprived of these things because currently government has overall budget deficit. That is when government focuses less on means-tested benefits such as these things and focus more on more direct investments in infrastructure. We think you sacrifice the women in the bottom strata of the society who need this help the most, prioritizing the women who essentially can, even in the worst case, live their life, can get through and imagine a better future for themselves. In conclusion, we stand strong in our principle. But second of all, understand the greater impact and why their alternative essentially wouldn't work in this debate. First, the biggest thing that women lose at this point in time, whenever they give up, whenever you lower the tax, is the entitlement towards the state. Why is this important? Because every single individual can ask something from the state because they can show that they're entitled to it. Before I move on, yes?
If women don't get the same treatment and the same representation in the state, how can you tax the people?
Yeah. Idea is you assume these things are absolutely horrible in the society. It's not. You generalize every single individual. That's the problem with your case. Moving on. So why does the alternative work and why does the entitlement doesn't work in the world? The current context of the world isn't where women, isn't like the modern context of the world where the debate is taking place, is the one where culture of activism is strong. Where the government, where the brands at this point in time are more, where the companies at this point in time rather, are more aware of their brand rather than price competitiveness. For example, Calvin Klein and Starbucks, these two individuals are big, large companies. For instance, even if you take the same similar clothing lines, for example, Victoria's Secret and Calvin Klein, they don't compete on price, they compete on brand image, which brand individuals want to associate themselves with. This sort of pressure are something that pressure groups in our society, the feminist movement capitalize on and can make sure, regardless of having same entitlement from the state, regardless of giving similar contribution towards the society, these brands discriminate against their employees that work over there. That is when these brands are much aware and want to increase the salary of these individuals, the women working in the society. That happens under our model. Why do you take that away? Because right now you cannot argue by saying, oh, but these individuals have a similar kind of entitlement. You only, these companies can get away by saying, but they pay lower taxes. Your movement never gains traction. But finally, Mr. Speaker, we tell you that government still has to compensate these things in some possible way because the budget is still in deficit. That is when the indirect taxes in your products increase. That is when you have to pay more on your sanitary products, which is a necessity that you have in your regular life. That is when, Mr. Speaker, these individuals, the disposable income that you talk about, doesn't make sense anymore. Because even in the worst case, this disposable income doesn't stay with them because everything's prices increases. But finally, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's give them the doubt that they still have the disposable income. Still, every single time the woman gets a paycheck in her hand, she still knows, regardless of the amount of money she takes out from the ATM tonight, she's 30,000 taka or 30,000 K less capable of another man who's getting the paycheck. We think that is horrible to the dignity of the woman, and we believe it shouldn't exist. We should.
Opposition speaker, and I would like to invite